What's up, y'all? This is Mike.
This is Tyrone.
This is Menelik.
Solid stuff.
And welcome to the podcast. We're going to come up with a name for the podcast in a bit, but we're going to just try to figure this whole thing out. So as we all know, the NBA season is trying to resume. You know, we all have mixed feelings about it, especially with the state of coronavirus and everything like that. I just want to get you guys' opinion on what y'all think about the situation and how do y'all feel about it. Do y'all feel that the championship will be validated? Do y'all feel it makes sense? So anyone y'all can start and let's take it from there.
Yes, I'll start with like a kind of general take on it. So on the one hand, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm like, I don't even know if I feel like they'll be able to get through the whole bubble situation to get to the chip.
True.
I mean, what the NBA? I mean, Adam Silver seems like a good commissioner. They seem like they got their stuff together, but it is a crazy situation. Like, if you really kind of think about it, all it takes is one superstar. Like, let's say LeBron, catches COVID. Like, are they gonna make him, quarantine for like 2 weeks? Then the Lakers is done. It's over. Like, or. I think they have like some of the staff or something could go home, but the players can't. So what if some of those people, one of them get it? I mean, I don't know all the particulars. I mean, I think it is I understand the desire to try and get it done, but I guess we'll have to see how it goes. And as far as like there being like an asterisk, I guess, I think for sure it's going to be an asterisk no matter what, in a sense. But I don't think it invalidates it because at the end of the day, it is a crazy circumstance and situation. And, at the end of the day, in the record books, it's going to say you a champion. You got a champion. You got a championship. I mean, when people talk about it, people are going to throw that in there. So let's say LeBron gets 7 chips somehow before he done playing, or 5 or something. People are going to be like,
Fourth one, yep.
That fourth one. So, but that's like my quick little take on it.
All right. So, Hollis, what you think?
I don't really like it. I don't think it's going to finish all the way because, like I said, I feel like somebody's going to get sick of a superstar, and it don't seem too right. I don't know. It seems kind of sketchy in many ways.
Yeah, T, what you talking about, Tom?
I'm totally against it. I've never been a fan of it from the beginning. I think that it's a money thing where the TV contracts, I think they can lose upwards to $900 million in a TV deal. So it's almost like they're trying to just get what they can get out of that money by putting this on. I think it's a joke, to be honest with you. These people are going to be away from their families for months. And guys can get injured. This restart is a little tricky because, guys have been off for 3-4 months and now they're coming back into intensified playoff run. It's real dangerous. And then on top of that, if the season ends at October, as they say, they're talking about a quick turnaround for next season in December, which I think I heard Giannis the other day talking about. He think this championship will be the hardest to ever win because of the circumstances. In my personal opinion, I actually think next year's is harder because of the quick turnaround. So I think it affects more of next year than really what's going on this year. I'm not a real big fan of it. I think they should have canceled the season and just restarted in October. But I'm not the commissioner or any owners, so this is my opinion.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, I had that those are all valid points. I mean, I look at it from this perspective. Like, sports is a big thing, and the selfish side of me is fiending to see basketball because that's my favorite sport. That's the sport I love to play. That's the sport I play. So it's something I wanted to see. So just the idea of seeing like these guys able to play and get some games on television is something that piques my interest. As far as the whole COVID situation, I do agree. I think it's kind of tricky, especially them having a base in Florida, dealing with all that stuff like that. and it will be an issue because you know you got to hope that the Disney people who work in there keep themselves from getting the COVID. You got to hope that the basketball players, you know, follow the protocols. You got to hope that everybody doesn't get sick and take it very seriously. And you just don't know because this is not a disease you can see. Like it's not like chicken pox where you can see chicken pox on somebody's skin and know that this person has symptoms and is sick, so you can kind of like automatically quarantine them and keep that away. Like this is something that we don't even have the full understanding of. As far as them playing, I understand why they wanted to play. So, for instance, they had to play because of that thing in the contract where if they don't play or if the season gets canceled for anything, they can end up losing the money come next year. And I understand the importance of like trying to keep the players' pay rate at a certain thing. So it is a risk reward type of thing where they have to, you know, for the future generations to be able to get the bread that they want, and for other players to still keep their bread, they have to kind of play. And you know, it is tricky. As far as the next season goes, it is going to be kind of weird, but I look at it like this. Most of these guys still play ball over the summer. They still train. They still do a lot of things that they're going to end up playing next year anyway. Now, as far as the intensity, I think that's why these 8 games are there. The 8 games are just for them to start up and just to get them kind of get feet wet. I think that we're not going to see the true playoff intensity like how we usually see during April and May. We're going to end up seeing it where, you know, they're going to be more like, you know, playing up to a certain part. They might be like almost mid-season form by the end of the playoffs, if you will. So I think it's going to be okay. I do agree with the injuries, especially guys might, you know, get hurt because they fiend to play. But yeah, I mean, I'm for it in a sense, but I do understand why people might not be for it. But you know, it is what it is. But
and think about how an injury now when the season starts can affect the playoff run. What if a guy's out for a week or two? That's basically the beginning of the playoffs. It's really tricky.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. That's why I agree with like what Giannis was saying in the sense where I feel that yes, anytime there's something that's against like the status quo as far as like the regular season or how the season will play out, people are going to look at it as asterisk. When the Spurs won their first chip, you know what I'm saying? It was an asterisk, quote unquote, because of the fact that they had a shortened season because of the lockout. But you know, people still say Tim Duncan got fired.
It was really only Phil Jackson and Shaq that said it. But
exactly. So you know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. So
they were the ones that were saying it.
Exactly. So they kind of coined that phrase.
So we can also call LeBron's first championship an asterisk because in 2012 that was a strike season. That was a lockout season. I don't hear anybody saying that.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So you know, it's always give and take. You know what I mean? Of course, Shaq gonna be more tight because that was a chance for him and the Lakers to try to do something.
He was mad because he was mad because San Antonio swept them that year.
You know what I mean? So it's like little things like that. You kind of like got to look at it. And I feel like, look, this is going to be like a brand new season kind of for them. So this is like a little mini season, AAU kind of aggressive AAU or super AAU tournament. And they're going to have a champion and you know, just attach it to the 2019-2020 season. Now, yeah, go ahead.
More like a glorified summer league.
Yeah, you can say that too. I just think that, you know, it's going to be more on that level because, you know, at the end of the day, we already know what happened. You know what I mean? There's a lot of teams that, you know, they ain't gonna make the playoffs. A lot of teams I'm not gonna make them. Look at my Nets. My Nets, they depleted. You know, we didn't have KD for like the whole year. Obviously, Kyrie was hurt. You know what I mean? And then he doing his thing with the coalition joint. And then on top of that, then you have who else? Then you got like all these players, DeAndre Jordan, you know, Spencer Dinwiddie, like all of them cats caught Corona. So it's like we had to put like Michael Beasley and Jamal Crawford. So I don't expect them to do anything crazy. I just expect them, like, you know, get some run in there. Karis LeVert get some more shine. Hopefully develop into that third player that we need. And then, you know, come next year, we win the chip. You know what I'm saying? So
That's right.
that's how I look at it. So, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I just think of it. Look, I'm just happy that basketball coming back. I just hope that everybody is healthy, everybody stays safe for the most part, and nobody gets hurt. And if those things could be done, I think it could happen. But like you said, man, like earlier, it's like if a superstar gets COVID, or let's say like freaking or let's say freaking Alex Caruso get coronavirus, and then LeBron and the Lakers got to quarantine for 14 days. What are they gonna do? Stop it, or are they gonna let them play?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You know what's gonna happen?
This is LeBron's league. If it stops, it's like Patrick Beverly said the other day when he was talking about people not wanting to play. He said If LeBron James said we're playing, we're playing. So if LeBron James gets hurt or he
get
gets the
COVID,
coronavirus, this season's over.
Yeah, I think so too. I think
The
any
league is,
superstars get, except for like the rivalry. 'Cause I think they want the Lakers to win. Everybody's coining the Lakers to win.
Not
they
I
want
I think the
Yeah.
Pelicans gonna win this time.
they want they're trying. I've honestly I've always thought since all of this is going on that
Yeah.
they are trying to give every chance to LeBron to win a championship
before he
because
retired.
this is one of the best years that he's had team wise. The
Yeah.
Lakers.
Yeah.
So and with Anthony Davis joining this club this year, this is it could be possibly his last chance because the Clippers are coming up. You got the Pelicans,
Got
You
the
got the
Bucks.
Grizzlies, you got the
The-
Bucks,
and that's just the Western Conference.
and you got the Nets going to win the chip
We're-
next year. So it's
We're
like,
not. We're not.
Right?
And let's not forget
Golden
the
State.
Golden State Warriors on my pick. On my pick to even come out the West next year, I picked them to win next year. That's a bold statement.
Let's take it
Have a
easy.
high draft pick.
Let's
and
take it easy.
everybody
Well,
coming
what they gonna
Yeah.
get LaMelo? So they gonna think LaMelo gonna do it. I'm good.
And they also have Andrew Wiggins. Clay's coming back. Steph's coming back. These guys, they've been sitting out most of the season. They're all gonna be healthy. They have a lot left in the gas tank now.
No, I agree. I think they're a good squad. I think they're gonna do their thing. I feel that with the up and coming teams, I think people are sleeping on the Golden State Warriors. As far as that dynasty that they had or that dominance, I don't think it's gonna be like that. I think they're gonna be like in that mix. They're gonna be in top 3 team in the West. They probably will make it to the championship and play the Nets and then lose to Kevin Durant.
That's right.
And Kyrie Irving in the 2021 season. But at the end of the day, you have to look at it from this perspective where it's like a lot of these Western teams are getting better. They're a lot younger. You know what I mean? The Golden State Warriors don't really have a big man. I think if Andrew Wiggins could finally get to that potential that everybody was talking about, stop being so lazy, I think that they have a good guy in that lineup who's athletic, who could defend.
Well, if they can get their hands on, depending on the lottery, they can get their hands on the kid from Memphis, Wiseman. That's the big man they can use right there.
Yeah, but I mean, you'll see.
And they also have unprotected picks in the future, in the next year or two from other teams. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. So the Warriors are they're a pretty good position for the next year or two. Don't write them off yet. This year was just a wash.
Yeah, they had too many injuries.
Too many injuries. Kevin Durant left. DeMarcus Cousins left. It was, and they lost some veterans. Sean Livingston,
Yeah,
Bogut, Andrew Bogut, Andre Iguodala. So it was a transition.
yeah, they did Iggy dirty though, but it is what it is. I mean, that's just the nature of the business. You got to get.
Well, Iggy went on First Take last year and was talking about, the medical staff a little bit. That kind of.
He did it on the Breakfast Club too.
Yes,
but
he did.
I mean, we caused the Nets a good season with Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't blame him. And I mean, honestly, speaking of that, which is a good segue, it's like, look, man, a lot of great players, because of the way the medical staff and these quote unquote trainers have been like dealing with them. A lot of them, like, look at Brandon Roy, like his career was cut short. Or Greg Oden, like I look at some of his old videos and his highlights. He was in the same draft class as Joakim Noah and them clowns, and he was way better than them. And it's just that, you know what I mean? It's like, it's sad because, like, you have people train. Look at Anthony Davis. He was getting hurt a lot in the beginning of his career because of the fact that the freaking Pelicans was using the same trainers for the football team, the Saints, the New Orleans Saints, to train the basketball player. They're 2 different body types. And if you watch The Last Dance, like we all did, remember when Michael Jordan's like trainer was like, yo, when I was training Mike for baseball, it was a whole different set of training regimen that we had because he's doing baseball now. For him to get back in basketball shit, you have to train him a whole different way. So you can't just use like one uniform way of training for these athletes, and especially these guys who like already abnormally large and have these different kind of skill sets. So for somebody like Kevin Durant, who probably wanted to play but was like, nah, I can't go out there to do his thing, and then he was still dropping buckets on the like 1.5 legs and then have his joint blow out like that. I think it was just like serendipitous where it's like they just showed the fact that a lot of these trainers, they don't care. They just want to win, and they'll just tell the team doctor or team, oh, he good. He go out there. You know what I mean? He got like maybe 2 strands left of his tendon, but he could go. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, it's what 1-2 games. He should be.
you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you know what? Let's put ice on it. Like, yeah, he just played. Let's tighten up his tendon by putting ice on it while he on the bench and then send him back out there. It's like stuff like that. It's like stupid things. You know what I
That
mean?
was a horrible. They should have put a heating pad. If anything, they should have never iced this. Oh, that was bad.
And that's what I'm trying to say. So it's like not disrespecting those guys who went to training to schools to be athletic trainers, and they might have that skill set. But at the end of the day, it's like, look, you have to know what's going on. Like, you can't have a guy sit down and put ice on him and then expect him to go back out there because you're worried about swelling. Like, to me, it was already admirable for him to go out there as it is, but to put ice on him and have him to go out there in this kind of way is dangerous. A lot of these guys, like, I watched the training video because it's a YouTube guy, I forgot his name, who's like a medical doctor, and he talks about these different things. And every time there's an injury, he'll break it down and he'll show like why this is and how they can heal from it and how it has affected the person's career. And he was showing like Brandon Roy. He was like, look how Brandon Roy, like every time he had a knee injury, they just kept taking out meniscus to the point he didn't have any left. And then when he was having a trainer like walk him through it and doing these exercises with lunges, the man is unstable. He's moving around like his leg is like not stable, and like the guy's walking behind him. That's a bad way of doing it. Like, the whole purpose of these exercises, strengthen the knee and those ligaments, is to have stability. And if you have him not doing it correctly, and he's thinking that he's doing it because he's paying you this money or the team is paying you this money to train him, and you're leading him down the wrong path, you ended this cat's career at a very young age. And who knows, like, you know what I mean? They might not have got Dame, but let's say they had him and Dame. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what could have happened. You know what I mean? So it's sad.
Yeah, and it's like it's a trend, and it's bad in general, no matter who the player is. But when you talk about, it's Kevin Durant, one of a Hall of Famer, first ballot, like,
he's the best player in the game right now.
Yeah.
And now he might never be the same player. I mean, I definitely think the way his game is, he'll be able to bounce back a lot.
Yeah.
But
I believe
he still
so,
might not be as dominant or as good as he was. And it's like, with a player like that, you would think at least you would go the extra step. Well, do your due diligence, like, you know, because how valuable he is to the sport, the team, and, you know, so it is crazy when you think about it.
I agree with that. A man of his stature should have been taken care of a little more precaution.
Yeah,
They should have took a little more precautions.
2-3 opinions, and be as cautious as you can. Like, was the risk of him never being the same player worth? I mean, I know the Warriors was in a bad spot, and I know a chip was probably important to him. And they would have won. Yeah. They would have won. You see what he did on like half a leg.
He would have done
it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
because in that game before the injury, he was dropping buckets. And they wasn't stopping him,
and he was locking up Van Vliet.
But to disagree with Menelik, I do think that the injury may not really change him, because he's more relying on jump. He's not relying on athleticism and dunking, and more like how Giannis is. Giannis is more athletic and
like Westbrook. That'll be bad for him.
Right.
Yeah, Westbrook.
Yeah. So I think Durant's game, I don't think the Achilles. I think he'll lose a step, but I don't think the Achilles would damage him
as much. I agree, and I was saying that too, because, like, you know, his thing is predicated on that, his jump shot. That's why he calls himself easy money sniper, whatever it is. My thing is that, like you said about the first step, like that step initially, because, you know, he has ball handling skills too. So if he can cross dudes and get off that step, that could take a little bit of a hindrance. But you gotta adapt. Like, even when Jordan was saying in the Last Dance too, he was like, yo, you know, he felt that after that '98 championship, it's like he felt that now his skill set was coming up to like his mental, like he was finding ways to still dominate without having the athleticism. And I'm just paraphrasing, and it was something that he felt was like that like becoming like a black belt in basketball, if you will. Like, he was getting so nice at the way the game was supposed to be played, that even though his athletic skills had diminished, he was still dominant at that age. And as far as the whole Golden State Warriors thing, I look at it like this, right? They look at it, they knew in that locker room that KD, was about to leave, right? So they probably said, we're going to get as much as we can out of this cat before he leaves. So I feel that even though, and they did offer him the thing and whatever, but I think they just feel like if he get hurt, they probably looked at it as a win-win situation, and it's like a little bit of a conspiracy where it's like, all right, look, he get hurt, you know what I mean? He ain't gonna get that kind of money outside of us, so he definitely re-sign with us because we gonna give him the most money. And he get hurt, all right, he leave us, he hurt. So it's like, he's still damn. So it's like they feel it's a win-win for them. They're like, yo, he get hurt, he leave us, he ain't get no bread. If he stay with us, he gonna get bread. So we got him. And then KD, because of the fact of his skill set, and like you said, I think the reason why the Nets gambled on him and gambled with Kyrie is because they say, look, even if Kevin Durant is not 100%, and let's say he gets back to like 85%, right? That's still better than like 90% of the dudes in the league. Right
Yeah.
now. So it's like, yo, if he could shoot, space the floor, drive to the basket, his layups and all that, he might not do like them dunks he was doing, or might not be as fast off the dribble moves, but he still got his skill set. So I think, to your point, to all y'all point, that he's still gonna be all right. You know what I mean? He's not like a Dominique and like a Kobe who had those same injuries, who needed that athleticism and that movement to get to the basket, and that's what they skill set for.
Dominique was pretty successful with his comeback though. So
yeah, I remember.
Dominique was pretty successful with his comeback. A lot of players that tear their Achilles, they go to him, and talk to him to find out, what his approach was in rehab, and think. Kobe was a little older when it happened with him, so I think he didn't look the same because he was more older.
Yeah, like his whole body was
harder too. Yeah, for him to recover at that point. Yeah, before that, Kobe was like, durable. He did his thing, but all those years, all that basketball, then other things were messing up before that. So yeah, it was probably, and Father Time.
Father Time is undefeated, man.
Honestly, it's genetics too, man. Because you got to look at it like this, like Dominique, and then like even with that same doctor guy I was talking about, like he showed like the where it tears, and that all plays a major part in the recovery, because the less blood in the area is harder for it to heal, and how they did the incisions back then. And like if you look at people who like genetic freaks, like it's a good segue to like Zion. If you look at Zion's 20 years old, and he is like mad brolic as it is right now, to the point that if the guy do like 2 push-ups, like he put on like 16 pounds of muscle, so he can't really do nothing. And he just is a genetic freak. So I feel like somebody like that, like a LeBron James as well too, the reason why he has so much longevity, despite what people want to say him doing roids and all this kind of like cocktails they said to be developing for him and all this stuff like that, super soldier serum that they give him. I respect him because he take the time and he spends the money on his craft and on his body. He spends like $1.5 million a year just to stay in good shape. So for me,
those are some expensive steroids.
Exactly. So if you understand, so it's like if you look at it from that perspective, like people
untraceable.
Like that,
untraceable.
You know so it is what it is, man. So I feel that alone. Sometimes people got some great genetics. So Dominique probably is like, look, he was jumping like maybe touching the top of the backboard before the Achilles injury, and after the Achilles injury, he touching like the top of the box in the backboard. You know what I'm saying? So he's still athletic. He just lost a little bit of it. Same thing with Zion. When Zion first came back, he was be able to jump out of the gym, but he wasn't jumping as high. Plus, he was kind of fatter too, and he was out of shape. But he wasn't jumping as high. He wasn't doing those crazy things he was doing at Duke and when he was at his at high school. So I feel that's what I'm excited to see too, like how much of a difference he's going to be now that he has like this whole 3-4 months with him and his stepdad working out. And he's at the gym all the time, so they probably say, "Yo, man, forget this corona. He has access to the gym. He could go in the gym, live, sleep, eat the gym if he wants." You know what I'm saying?
Well, he should be able to have access to the gym with the money that Duke gave his stepdad.
100,000.
Yeah, so
they should be able to pay off some gyms to let them in and work out.
And I mean, I think he probably, with those things, like, like he's their top player. It's like, yo, you can do it. Jordan Brand might help him. Like, who knows? Like the 2K cats, like, hey, we have a facility here you can use. And that's the sad thing with the whole thing, like you said, with the Zion thing, is like, to me, it's like, all right, let's say they find out and it's 100% true, and that his father, stepdad took the money, or he got a little bit like they gave him some Jordans when he was in college or something like that. It's like, so what? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, to me, it's like, oh, they make him in other, what, they gonna like send him back to school, or the Pelicans lose their draft pick? To me, I look at it as like, why do they frown upon those things for like these college athletes? These cats, they coming up, they say, yo, I'll give you this amount of money if you come play at my school or do this. Now, if it was me, I probably wouldn't have done it because, of my integrity and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I don't fault some of these kids for taking those, like, all right, yo, you want to pay my tuition, you gonna get me a little whip or something like that. All right, I know I'm gonna make it to the league, so yeah, why not? You know what I'm saying?
So then
Yeah.
you eat it right away too.
But $400,000, that's a lot of money. That cat. So most freaking teachers and people, man, make less money than that. And this cat is like, all right, man, y'all want my stepson to come in? Y'all want Zion? Y'all want Zion in the Duke
So,
Blue Devils jersey? Yeah,
so,
400K looking about the number. You know what I mean? Let's round up. You know what I'm saying?
so how do you feel about the Pelicans in this bubble?
I think that the Pelicans have a good chance to make the AFC. I'm not trying to say like Zion, like the Jordan or something like that. I'm just saying that the way they were playing and that sample size of them 19 games that they had, where Zion was out of shape. You know what I mean? And the excitement that the team was playing as far as defensively and offensively, and Lonzo coming to his own and Brandon Ingram doing their thing. I felt that they could definitely have inked out that AFC. You know what I'm saying? Now, as far as if they would have went into the playoffs straight from there, with Zion being out of shape and Bailey being able to, do what he had to do, I think that they probably would have got maybe a game or two and probably got bumped first round. I think that they could actually win a round. I think. Well, actually, now if they AFC and they play the Lakers, I don't know
Yeah,
if
it's
they beat
over.
LeBron. But you know what I mean. They're gonna either unless
Now-
Zion play out of control, like Michael Jordan himself plays in Zion's body for that first round, and he do that, then you can't say nothing at this point. If they beat the first round, the first seed Lakers, and they make it to any further, then yeah, Zion is the truth. And if they win the chip, then I think they beat the Lakers first round, they win the championship at this point. If they do that, who gonna stop them? You saw what he did to Giannis. You saw what he did to freaking what's this kid? That kid that Knox. You know what I mean? And the cat wasn't even had full strength yet. This cat like freaking Thanos and like the whole. So if he's doing that, I don't know, bro.
I like their chances a lot. Don't be surprised now if they give the Lakers a run for their money. See, everybody's looking at it from how everything was before the season stopped. We don't know how any of these players are going to play and how the team chemistry is when these guys come back. That's why
Facts.
if someone was asking me who do I think would win, I really don't have a clue. The Portland Trailblazers could come out and win this thing. I don't have one clue because I haven't even seen any warm-up games. I haven't seen any scrimmages. I don't know. You still don't know who's going to opt out. So
Yeah.
I don't really know
And they got that
where to
snitch-
go.
that snitch hotline. Like for me, if I was on that joint, because you got to let people know somebody not following the rules. I'm like, all right, I'm down 2-0 to the Lakers. I'm like, I saw LeBron. He was out there eating hot dogs and he had no mask on. You know what I'm saying? And him, like, quarantine for like 4 days and they come back, make the series like 2-2 or 3-2. So I mean, it's like it's funny, like the whole system that they have. But to your point, Tyron, I agree. Like you just don't know. Like for instance, for me, that's how I made that joke about the Pelicans. But you never know. Like the Pelicans could be like on a good run. They're young. They got the athleticism. God forbid that nobody gets hurt. And I'm not saying somebody gets hurt. Let's say somebody tweak an ankle on the Lakers, or the Lakers don't have the same chemistry they had going into the end of the season before the season got shut down. And like who knows? Let's say God forbid one of those guys get COVID, and like JaVale McGee can't play many minutes because of that, or Dwight Howard can't do his thing. So like you lose that kind of like thing. So you just don't know. So for instance, you like the Pelicans might make it. The Bucks might do their things, or the Bucks might not. So we don't know. But everybody's assuming that the top teams that was already the top teams in the season, well, just going to be those teams, and these other guys just here for the ride. But you never know. With these kind of AAU style type of tournaments, you know what I mean? Like these cats might, pull a fast one. They might do something special. So we don't know.
They have a real good young nucleus there that if they keep this team intact for a couple of years, they're going to be a force.
Yeah, I agree.
The next couple of years.
I agree 100%. 100%.
Pelicans have a good chance to do some big things that Anthony Davis might have wished he stayed there. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, and it's
Things
funny because
happen.
I thought about that too. Like Anthony Davis probably looking like, damn, now we got a squad.
He
when
could
I'm
have been
not
playing
here.
with Zion. He could have been playing with Zion.
And that's why I like the fact that they will play them first round. Cause imagine because I watched them play. I'm not trying to say Anthony Davis ain't got that skill set. He can't give Zion the business either. But it's just that those first couple of games they played against the Lakers, Zion was having his way and doing his thing. He actually looked a little bit better than AD in those games. Even though the Lakers came out on those games, it's just that Zion was like, more aggressive and doing his thing, and you can see like, they were giving him his respect. So we'll see. And if he's able to like not only bring him in the playoffs his first year, if they make a deep run and actually they actually beat the Lakers per se. Like LeBron can't say nothing about no GOAT joint. He can't say nothing. You let a rookie on a freaking shortened season come out there and wash you, right?
Well, you got to understand the GOAT discussion was never even open to begin with. It did. A lot of people say, "Oh, the GOAT discussion is closed." If you ask me, it was never open. Yeah. So, there's nothing to really. I don't even associate the word GOAT and his name in the same sentence. You'll never hear that. Even if I'm saying he isn't, I still wouldn't even use that word in the same sentence with him. Because I actually, and not to change the subject, but I actually have many people ranked over him. I don't even understand why he's straight up shot up to number 2. But that's just my opinion. That's my opinion for another conversation,
Yeah, but, I mean, like I said, I respect the man. I don't take nothing away from LeBron. I think he's like the man. I think when it comes to like social stuff, he the GOAT when it comes to that. But when it comes to the NBA and basketball,
I don't even think he's the GOAT in that. There's only one person that's so I'm sorry, and when I say his name, you'll agree with me. There's no one that was better than Muhammad Ali.
You're right.
When it came to that.
But I'm talking about basketball. No,
I know. I understand what you're saying, but when you're talking about social and equality and fighting for rights, and even basketball, another name I can use 2 names: Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
You're right. When it comes to that stuff, and it was a different time then, and so like when he up there, he ain't at Mount Rushmore. It was worse back then,
and it was worse.
And he ain't at Mount Rushmore with them cats. But when it comes to like the NBA stuff, I just think that it's just the same thing. And after this, we can move to a different topic.
Yeah, because we're gonna save the GOAT. The GOAT.
It's the same thing with. It's the same thing with. It's the same thing with like
because that'll be a great conversation.
Every time, like for instance, Michael Jordan had impact the NBA in such a tremendous way, and not even this in like the NBA itself, like in a world scale. That when he left the game, it was a void. Like even like right now, just thinking about
it really was. Yeah, it really was.
Like even think about it right now. Like when people that we grew up watching, like when like in KG, Tim Duncan, like Scottie Pippen, and all them other cats in them, like left the league afterwards. We kind of be like, man, like basketball is not the same. Like we like the teams now, we watch the games, like we get excitement. So like right now, I feel the reason why people like Zion, for instance, and like LeBron's and them, it's like you get like once in a while generational guys who like show you something that's mad exciting to watch and get you hyped, and then they automatically throw them in that GOAT bubble where like like they're not on that level with Jordan. So like you said, we'll wait till another time to discuss that.
That's gonna be a great conversation.
But we have a fan here of a team that was considered a cursed franchise, and
the Knicks.
Even that, not even the Knicks, man. Even like dang near racist to the Native Americans, and the team is called the Washington Redskins. My suggestion was the Washington Pigskins, or maybe Washington like Red Hawks, something like that. But how do you feel about your team changing the name? Like, I mean, like what do you care as much? Do you hope?
Oh, by the way, he has multiple teams that have this situation. but we'll talk about the Redskins.
Let's talk about the Redskins.
I've been said they needed to change the name. I don't know what the hold up now. They talk about they trying to do it as soon as possible, but Dan Snyder's just holding up everything. I never liked the name. It need to go right away, and the logo especially.
Yeah, that was crazy. Malik, you have something to add to that before I go in time?
Yeah, since I won't be as long. Yeah, I mean, look, I understand the idea, the concept of, having a culture or a legacy, or, there's generations of fans who grew up rooting for their Redskins. But at the same time, it's like, for years, there was slavery or other things. Things can be wrong or inappropriate, or things that might have been acceptable back in the day. People realize now that's not cool. So it's a point where you can't let the past or tradition, so to speak, keep you from doing what's right. So that's why I definitely, I know, once again, there's going to be certain fans that are super passionate and and But I think the right move is definitely to change the name. And at the end of the day, you're never gonna make everyone happy. You know, even in not as controversial ways, like even with like the Wizards, right? When they with the Bullets, and then they went like, you know, fans were tight, like oh, like so. But yeah, that, at the end of the day, yeah, I think they shouldn't be changing the name and
The other one will be saying
definitely
DC has
whatever.
always been racist, like the Bullets and like always aggressive and with some weird joint. That's what they say. Tom?
Yeah, I think they should I think they should change it. It's time. They they've been getting criticized for it for years, so they should change the name because they're losing sponsor now. They're losing sponsors
Mhm.
and merchandise have been removed from the websites. Amazon doesn't even have a single Washington Redskin logo on it.
Nike took it off. They might lose the new stadium if they don't change the name.
Yeah, it's like you can't even operate as a proper team, or the
Yeah.
fans can't really even embrace the team at this point. So it's like, once again, I understand some people about the culture tradition, but yeah, it's just at the end of the day, it's for business reasons, social reasons. There's just on different fronts. There's reasons for you guys to change
I
that.
agree, man. I think the consensus has been here that we want to change it. I think what happened, you know me, like I've been off and on with football and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, it just gets crazy. So for me, I look at it like this: is the name has to be changed, obviously, but it's sad that it took all these things like, and it took a movement, and it always been like that. And I don't want to get too like political in this joint, but it's always been like that when black people start making headway and doing certain things, a lot of people try to jump on the coattails and it's fine. I'm not hating on it, and I feel that now that we start to like really address a lot of this racial stuff in America, it's great that they could kind of like dovetail on it and like, yo, you got to change this, because like honestly speaking, it's like we as young kids, we probably not even think nothing of it because we just Washington Redskins, Redskins, blah blah blah, whatever. But when you look at the name of it, it was a racial thing, especially when they used to be skinning them Indians back in the Native Americans back in the day. It was something racial. Let alone like when we looked at the Cleveland Indian freaking logo from back in the day, the baseball team, how OD it was. You know what I mean? To and Tyrone, that's a heads up. I had to mute you because it was getting a lot of feedback. So when you're ready to talk, just unclick the mute button so you can talk. Yeah, so it was getting crazy, and I'm like, yo, man, it's time. And people say it was a curse because a lot of their top players would get hurt or they were always losing. It was a lot of stuff going on with that team, and like I was saying to Hollister and the other day, it's like, look, man, money talks in this country. Like people understand that man was not going to change that name no matter what they said. He said, oh, we talked to the Native Americans in the area and they said they had no issue with it. I ain't changing nothing, right? Because he didn't care. But once the money and them dockets started, his pockets started getting hit, that's when he started like, you know what, I need to change that whole thing where I need to like, I really have to address it, because when FedEx pulled the name and Nike said we're not doing it, and all these other people started losing, he realized like, I'm losing money, so I have to. And I mean, it's a name. It's like, people care about the team. I get it. You have like your old memorabilia. If your great grandfather got a 1956 Washington Redskin hat and you want to keep it and you're gonna feel that it's vintage now. You know what I mean? Let's hold on to it. You don't need it to say that it's a tradition, because a lot of these racist people who don't understand, maybe not even racist, insensitive, who they can't empathize with these things because it doesn't affect them. So it becomes an issue, and it sucks. You know what I mean? Because like you see it as, oh man, what's the big deal? Just a freaking name. It didn't even look bad, but it's like, nah, it's offensive to somebody. If they had a team like the Washington Knicks or like, you know what I mean, or the Washington Lynch Blacks, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, you think?
I mean, the Negro leagues had a lot of names like that, something like that.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's
So that's what I'm trying to say. So for me, I understand it, and I think it's a good thing to do it. Unfortunately, Hollis's team, they ran by people who were very insensitive people, like the Cleveland Indians, and that's why they lose all the time. You know what I mean? That maybe they just change the things. You know what I mean? At least the Indians tried to change it. It's like, we're not gonna have that stupid logo with them catch cheese and looking mad racist.
Chief Wahoo.
Yeah,
Chief Wahoo logo.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
it wasn't even a real human, but you know.
they just made it up with a long nose and a cheese and smile.
Yeah.
But then we changed it to like Indians and script now. Like that's a
might
new thing. You know?
it might be a reason why they haven't won a championship in
So,
God knows
I'm telling you,
1948. So
saying Native Americans, they ain't playing, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's long overdue.
yeah, man. I mean, that because y'all changing it, I ain't gonna mean they're gonna win, but I'm just saying that this is a start in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was cool. But let me ask you a question. I know, Tyrone, we spoke the other day. You were saying that you was getting into MMA, and because there was no sports on, and the UFC was able to pull out some fights.
yes,
Malik might have more of a thing. So I asked him
yes, this is his domain.
before
you got
my take on it, but I will ask you and Hollister. So we have a UFC 251 right now. They on Fight Island. Everybody thought Fight Island was gonna be like this kind of Kumite type blood sport type of thing, and they come to find out it's just like a island that they had at the
Abu Dhabi.
in Abu Dhabi. They got an octagon on the ring on the sand, but it's just for like show. They're gonna be fighting in some kind of shelter on the island, which is still dope in itself for the international fighters. But anyway, we have the three main events. Three title fights in the main event. So we have the Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo for the vacant 135 belt from your boy Henry Cejudo,
yeah.
retired.
So,
And we have Kamar. Well, that's Kamar Usman is the headliner, but then we have Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski for the featherweight title, and then we have Kamar Usman versus Jorge Masvidal for the welterweight title, which is I think is going to be crazy. So before I get into my opinions, who I think is going to win, who I would like to win, I wanted to ask you and Hollister, how do you guys feel about this and the fact that the UFC can able to put on these events and things like that?
since I have the least experience with UFC, I'll go first. I really don't know much about the other kid. I know Jose Aldo.
Mm-hmm.
I really know him, so I don't know if he's past his prime. So I'm pretty sure he's the underdog, isn't he? He's the underdog in this.
I'm not sure.
Is he first of all? Is he the champion? Is he the champ?
No, nobody's the champion.
No, nobody the champion. What happened was they both featherweight. Was it featherweight or with a bantamweight fight? I thought he won, but and a lot of people thought he won, which is why he got the title shot because Marlon Morales fought Henry Cejudo, got washed, and they was like, "Nah, we're not doing that." So now, Hollister?
I'm excited it's back. I'm probably going to order it tonight to watch it.
Nice.
I'm picking Peter.
I was like, I remember my other boys used to make fun of me, like, "Yo, Mike, man, you can't be acting like you the person. Like, they lose, and I'll be all sad for a couple of days, and it's like, yo, I'm not even the one. They don't even know who I am. I'm not even in the octagon fighting." But I this is one fight because there's fights that happen where I'm indifferent, where I want Jose Aldo to win because I like Jose Aldo. History, no disrespect to Peter Yang. I think he's a good fighter too, but I want Jose to win. Just because he was a champ and is able to get his his comeuppance in this new division. I would like that, but at the same time, if Peter Yang would have won, I will win. I mean, all right, who cares? You know what I mean? The other two fights, I feel more inclined for the guy that I'm going to pick. I want them to win, but if Jose wins, I feel that Jose, because of his experience and the fact that he used to be called the King of Rio and he was nice, he would do it. And the thing with Jose was just that I think was conditioning, and also when you become a champion, I feel a lot of times when you lose a little bit of that hunger, and then it becomes more of like fighting to keep the belt as opposed to fight to like just dominate other cats. And I feel only a selective few guys can like really turn that switch on. Whereas like when GSP, even though he might be considered like the greatest welterweight of all time and even like one of the best mixed martial artists, he used to fight more of like a safe fight. You know what I mean? Like he'll do like a rocky fight with you a little bit, ground and pound you the whole time and wrestle you and stuff like that. It might not be the most entertaining of fights, but he was more so just trying to like, keep the belt, and that stress of wanting to keep the belt and staying on top and keeping that kind of like recognition, I think is what gets a lot of these guys. And I felt that's what happened with Jose for that 10 years when he wasn't losing and he was a 145 champion. And, after he got rocked by Conor, that changed everything. And I feel that that's when he started to kind of like trying to figure things out and still mess with them. And I feel that maybe he got over that, but I wouldn't be surprised if Peter Yang won. So moving on to the co-main event, we have Max Blessed Holloway versus Alexander the Great Volkanovski. Now, Alexander beat Max, like I want to say sometime last year, for the belt. I felt he could have went either way. I did understand why they gave it to Volkanovski, because he was getting landed on leg kicks and stuff like that, and Max wasn't really going off. But I want Max to win that fight. We'll see.
I'm being that, of course, inexperienced. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape right now, and I'm looking. He has a 5-inch reach of not 5-inch reach, a 5-inch in height. Holloway, and the reach is just a couple of inches. I usually look at that if I don't know fighters, and I'll probably go. But 21-1. I don't know how many top fighters he's fought. This Volkovsky.
Yeah.
And Holiday, I'll pretty much just go with him.
You going with Max Holloway or Volkanovski?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Max Holloway on that one.
I'm gonna go with the champ, Volkovsky.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Holloway. I mean, Volkanovski, however you say his name. Yeah, Volkanovski.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, whatever.
He definitely, did enough to win that other match, I feel like. But I do feel like some of it was things that I think Holloway would have learned from. Like, I know he was doing some like leg kicks and other stuff early, and that I think that did have an impact on Holloway too. Yeah. So I feel like he can learn from it, and I think he has a good chance to learn from that experience and still pull out the W. So I'm gonna go with Holloway.
Yeah, I'm going with Holloway too. I just think that, like you said, he learned from that first fight. I think there's a lot of little things that happened in that first fight where it's like he was Max Holloway is known for like his pace, his conditioning, and he has tremendous boxing skills. Now, wrestling has always been the Achilles heel. And I was explaining this to Tyron the other day to a lot of these strikers, a lot of these guys who come into MMA, except for the new breed of kids coming up in the sport, they don't have that wrestling base or that ground base. A lot of them started off like, especially in the old days, for being kickboxers or fighting, like in whether they was either a wrestler, jiu-jitsu specialist, or a kickboxer. So they only had like one discipline, and they just threw hands just to get their stuff set up. Whereas I feel that it is crazy because Volkanovski, even though he's short and kind of stubby, this guy used to be a rugby player. He used to weigh 220 pounds. The man is 145. Like, that's crazy. And because of that, we don't know what his wrestling is. And I think that camp, he out the same camp with Dan Hooker, and he also out the same camp with Israel Adesanya. So it's like they really go in as far as game planning and, trying to have movements. And I do feel that their steps and a lot of those guys, because when you have a guy who's a striker, if you take out that lead leg and they can't put pressure on that lead leg and they got to switch stance, it really changed the game of ability, lateral quickness, and for them to get out of hits and out of dodge. So I feel that Max should have, even though he said all he was able to do is Zoom training. So yeah, I know a lot of Tomcats just be saying that stuff, but I feel for him that he, like you said, he probably learn from those things. Maybe check a few more kicks. Maybe instead of like doing that, maybe catch a kick and take him to the ground and see where his ground game is at. You know what I mean? Maybe be the first to these combinations and stuff like that. So we'll see. I mean, that's another one that I could kind of say I can go either way, but I feel that I really want Holloway to win, and I feel that he'll come back and get his belt back and take it from there. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Real quick, I was just gonna say So I was going with Holloway, but I wouldn't be surprised if Volkanovski wins. Like, it definitely is one of those things where, like, if he can do something similar to the first fight, then and Holloway didn't learn, I could easily see him getting the W. But like I said, I don't think it's like a clear as day. Like, Holloway has no chance. I think he has a legit chance if he can have learned from the stuff. But that was all I was going to add.
So anybody else want to add something to that, or want to go to the main event?
No.
I'm good.
I'm pretty set on my pick.
Yeah, so the main event is between Jorge Masvidal, Gamebred Masvidal, and the Nigerian Nightmare, Kamaru Usman. So now, this one, I really want Kamaru to win, and not that I like Jorge. He's been fighting since the back in the backyard with freaking
Kimbo
Slice.
But for this particular match, I kind of want Kamaru to win. And I'll let you guys get on that, and then I'll say my piece. But so Tyrone, you can go ahead.
Well, he's the only one I've actually seen fight.
Jorge or
Yes, Jorge.
Okay.
But that was just against Kimbo Slice. So
no?
I really don't know his MMA
Did you watch the
MMA
BMF?
career. I just saw that one highlight where he kneed the guy and knocked him
A
out
couple
cold.
seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only thing I've seen on him. I know Usman was the champion.
Yeah.
I really would have liked to seen Burns, but because I've seen Burns a couple of times, but
Wow, you're the first
That
guy
would've-
to say that. You know what I'm saying? Because like, most people would say like, nah, they don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not no disrespect to Burns, what is like.
I mean, I'm just saying, he's a name I'm familiar with. Remember, I'm now getting into it.
Mhm.
So I seen him on Fight Night
Yeah.
a couple months ago, I think.
Yeah.
So, and I think he has a brother.
Yeah, he does have a brother who fights as well. I don't know if his brother is that good, but
So that's why I said, oh, well, I know it's the casual fan in me, the beginner. I'm a beginner in UFC, so
Yeah.
I thought I saw that name and I was just like, oh, okay, he's fighting the champion Usman.
Okay.
But my prediction on this one, I'm gonna take the safe bet and pick Usman.
Okay.
16-1, and he is a big winning streak. So, and he beat Woodley, beat Covington. I'm looking here, so I'm gonna take the safe bet and pick him.
Okay.
But I'm really like just going into it blindly. I don't know. I've never seen either one of them fight, but I'll just take a. If you're asking me who you're gonna think will win, I gotta pick a man that's 16-1 over a guy with 13 losses. But that's the. I mean, listen, I'm a big boxing fan, so I look at win losses. So that's just my thing. So sorry, I'm just gonna go with Usman. I can't pick a guy with 13 losses. I'm sorry.
Hey. All right, Hollister.
I think this is gonna be a classic. I'm still undecided, but if I had to pick somebody to win, I'll say Usman. But it's gonna be a real. They gonna go at each other. I already know it. I can't wait to see it. But I think I'll pick Usman if I had to pick.
Okay, Melanie.
Yeah, if I had to pick, definitely would go with Usman. Like, I like Masvidal, and I think he's like really good. And on the feet, I feel like he'll definitely give Usman some problems. But I feel like Usman's a little more versatile. Like, his wrestling is better, which I think could definitely give Masvidal some issues. Yeah, some headache or whatever. And I mean, his striking isn't bad either. Usman. Obviously, Masvidal has a lower. I feel is the better striker and will give him some problems on the feet. But Usman is, his striking is all right, but he has better wrestling, and he is on a streak of wins, and he is the champ too. And so I'll go with Usman.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna just jump in here too. So I agree. So I guess it's straight across the board is Usman. Like I said,
unanimous.
I like Jorge Masvidal. I think he's a great fighter. You know what I mean? I started to like him a lot more later on in the years because when he was first there fighting, I knew of him. He was a good fighter, but he'll have like a great win and he'll get washed by somebody and then he'll like lose. But I never remember him getting like finished, like knocked out or something like that. He always either went the distance or maybe he tapped a couple of times. But he's been fighting for 16 years now. Usman, he's 11-0 in UFC and he's been doing his thing. A lot of people may not like his fighting style. I think when he fought Kobe Covington, he brought it. And even though I don't like Kobe, I thought Kobe was doing his thing. Kobe is a good fighter. He just annoying, but I'm glad he got rocked. But as far as the Usman thing, the main reason why is like with Jorge, he had a great year, great 2019. Like when 2019 hit, you know what I mean? He fought Ben Askren, who was supposed to be like this, this guy from one, you know what I mean, who was supposed to everybody wanted to see him in the UFC. He never got to the UFC. He finally did, and he had a controversial win against Robbie Lawler, and then he fought, your boy, and then he got rocked. And,
Be quiet.
He got knocked out. Right now, when it comes to then he fought, Nate Diaz, and Nate Diaz, ain't no slouch, but he was putting that pepper on Nate Diaz with that BMF fight. So I give him credit; he's a great fighter, but he always had issues with wrestlers. Like, not that he would get back up to his feet, but he's a 155er who went up to 170, right? Kamaru Usman was always a 170 fighter, and Kamaru Usman is extremely strong. The way he was manhandling Tyron Woodley and doing his thing, I'm like, yo, man, this cat is OD.
Yeah, that did surprise me. I didn't expect. I know Willie was coming off after a while, but he impressed me.
Yeah, he impressed me in that fight. So when I saw that fight, I was like, yo, the way he dominated Woodley, and then the way he was fighting Kobe and putting in that work, I was like, all right, man, I give Usman credit. Now, to your point, Malik, I agree. Like Jorge that's what he does. He does strike. So he ain't no slouch. He knocked out your boy, what's his face, Darren Till. You know, he did what he got to do. So for me, you can't just take him lightly. You know what I'm saying? You got to watch it. So I hope Kamaru don't try to go in there and slap box this cat and fight him. I know he's going to put some pepper on him, but, you know, just do your thing and dominate. He more of like a guy. He like to dominate you and wear you out and make you feel like, man, why am I even in here? He don't like quick finishes. Whereas I feel that, you know, Jorge would be happy to knock him out quickly, like almost like a Conor McGregor type thing. So to me, I agree with Usman when he said this. Like, a lot of people paint this pitch like, oh, you know, this man took the fight in 6 days' notice. He's such a G. And if you look at the way they promote the fight, they're really just talking about Jorge. They ain't really talking about Kamaru. And it's also because of styles and the way he is. You know what I mean? So to me, Jorge is a more, you know, tantalizing person because he coming in with the Versace robe. He acting like he's Scarface, talking about he want to baptize people and he want to paint his canvas the way he want to paint his canvas. You know, all the funny, smooth things to say. And he had that charismatic stuff, whereas Usman is just an average guy trying to play like that. And you know, it gets kind of like crazy after a while. So for me, I look at it from that perspective, where it's like, all right, you know, he has a better chance of doing his thing, and I feel that the whole typical striker versus wrestler, most of the time the wrestler wins. So I'm gonna go with Usman, and I feel that it's gonna be a tough fight. If somebody get knocked out early, it's probably going to be Usman if he gets knocked out early. Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't. And if somebody get, you know, if it goes the distance, I'm going to say Usman's going to take it there and with a dominant performance. I hope he wins, but that's what I really do care about. But if he doesn't win, it is what it is.